Welcome back! Now, if you are not running on e-commerce, you can safely skip this lecture. But if you are, you'll want to get excited as you're about to start tracking your sales. When we've been analyzing the data in this course, a large part of determining what high quality traffic is and where it comes from has been through the revenue generated. Well, to do this, you need to set up sales tracking to actually get that revenue data. So let's go ahead and do just that. Now, the first thing we want to do is make sure that we are at our own account, okay? We don't need to set up this for Google's demo account. We want to set up the tracking for ourselves. And just like usual, our account, we're going to go to Google Analytics 3, all website data. Then we're gonna go down to the lower left corner, click on admin, and then move over to the right where it says e-commerce settings. And then we're simply going to enable e-commerce. Now, if you were running something like Shopify instead of WooCommerce, then all you would need to do is enable this and you would have all of the settings set up, all of the data you need, everything done and done. But since we're using e-commerce, we need to do a couple of additional steps, so we will. So make sure that you enable e-commerce to start the tracking. And then we also have something called enable enhanced e-commerce reporting. So they're asking, do you want additional data, such as you want to see how long they're viewing your product, how many people are clicking on your product, the impressions, the sessions, all of this detailed data on your products. You may or may not be using it, but the way that we're gonna set this up for our WooCommerce actually makes this very simple to set up. We don't need to do any additional codes. Normally when you set this up, you need a ton of different codes, and that's why most people skip it. But the way we're gonna set it up, gonna be quite easy. So make sure that you enable both of these and then click on save. Now we're gonna go to the back end of our store right here, and then we're gonna scroll down to plugins and go to add new. And we're gonna search for WooCommerce Google Analytics and then click enter. And here it is. Now it doesn't have the most favorable rating, and I've been reading the reviews and trying to figure out why. And it seems some people struggle with this plugin getting it integrated. Personally, and especially with this theme, I've never had that issue, so I do recommend this. And since this is from WooCommerce, their own official theme, that means that whenever they make any updates, they're gonna update this plugin as well, which makes it the most safe plugin to use when it comes to connecting your e-commerce between Google Analytics and WooCommerce. So I haven't had any issues with it, so it's a little bit of a turn off with the rating, but it should be more than fine. Works perfectly in my experience. And then we're gonna click on activate. So then we're gonna click up here where it says connect WooCommerce to Google Analytics. And if you didn't get that pop-up, you can easily go to WooCommerce on the left, click on settings, head over to integration, and then click on Google Analytics right here. So this is very straightforward. The first thing we want to do is set up our Google Analytics tracking ID. So we're going to go back to Google Analytics right here. We're going to make sure that we are in admin once again, move up to property settings, and then here is our tracking ID. Now, very, very important. Make sure that you are on your Google Analytics 3 account when you're doing this. You want the Universal Analytics code, not the Google Analytics 4 code. Okay, so we're using the version 3 and we know why. So I'm gonna right click and copy this code, head back, then I'm just going to paste it right in there. Now scrolling down, we want to use global site tag to get an additional tracking, so we're gonna get a bunch of data on Google Analytics 4 as well. Enable standard tracking is asking, do you want additional data in your tracking? You can enable this, but you can't enable it if you're using additional plugins like Monster Insights to track and get Google Analytics here. The way I see it, you should be using Google Analytics that we have been going through and learning about from the Google Analytics sites, because it gives you more valuable information. So this shouldn't be an important one at any rate. I recommend going to Google Analytics directly. And scrolling down, all you need to make sure is that you have purchase transaction checked in, add to cart events checked, and then enable enhanced e-commerce if you actually decided to enable it. It's not super important, but it does give you additional information. And once you've done this, all you need to do is go down and click on save changes. And then that's it, you're done. Now it will take at least 24 hours for incoming data to start showing, which makes testing it a little bit harder. I recommend that you leave it for a couple of days, since you'll know when you have gotten purchases from your bank account, among other things. You can easily go and see it being reflected in your Google Analytics. Let me show you where you're gonna see this data. By going to Analytics and then making this site a little wider by clicking on the arrow, we're gonna go to Conversions, e-commerce, and then overview. Now in here you're going to start seeing a bunch of your data, such as when you're getting sale, how many sales you're getting, because you've now set up that tracking. In order to show you what it's really gonna look like once you get things going, let's head over once again to the demo account. We're gonna go to Universal Analytics and go to the master view. We're gonna go back to conversions. I don't know why it changes back to audience, but sometimes it does. Go to e-commerce and then go to overview. And here we're getting the data that we're looking at. So we're looking at 1 month currently. We can see the amount of transactions we have, the amount of impressions we're getting, the revenue we're generating. And just like before, we can of course compare to the previous month and actually see how much we're getting. We're getting a lot more transactions, we're getting some more revenue, more impressions. We can see the day by day, and if you're using annotations, you would know probably why there is such a spike in here. And if I remove this comparison and hit apply, and then go to product performance, you're gonna be able to see how your specific products are doing. Now, once again, we're looking at a month. We can see the product revenue being generated, the unique purchases, the quantity, the average price they're selling for the average quantity, if you're getting any refund, you're getting all of these amazing details. And just like before, we can also see how are they doing compared to the previous month. Scroll down, well, we can see that the product revenue is actually up 36.2% compared to the previous month. This is selling like crazy. Didn't sell it all last month, maybe it's a new product. Scrolling down, we can compare products back to back, ask the question why, etc. Just like we've been learning throughout the course how to handle this data, okay? So now that you've got all of the tracking data completely set up, I just wanna say, well done. In the next lecture, you will be learning about a really cool Google Analytics feature called Analytics Intelligence, which has the potential to show you loopholes in your business and save you a lot of time. See you in the next lecture, and once again, well done.